Good evening,
ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Kentucky State University's new Thoroughbred Convocation. At this time, we ask that you silence all cell phones and electronic devices, so if you can check just to make sure. I'll check mine as well. Would you now join me in standing for the procession of the Kentucky State University Men and Women of Excellence in the class of 2017, led by President Mary Evans Sias and the program participants and platform guests. please remain standing at this time for the singing of our national anthem. This evening, the national anthem will be sung by Kentucky State University student Sabrina Rose. Please join me in welcoming Miss Rose to the stage.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated. Good evening. I am Lorenzo Esters, Vice President, Student Success and Enrollment Management. It is my honor to welcome you to the new Thorobred Convocation. The concept of convocation in higher education dates back many years. Over time, campuses around the world have adopted the convocation as a gathering to address the state of the university and other important issues. Since 1886, faculty, staff, students, and others have gathered in this tradition here at Kentucky State University. Those early meetings were held in Recitation Hall, now Jackson Hall, on this campus. In the ensuing 127 years, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends have met in convocation in various settings to discuss the work of the university and its progress. Tonight, we begin a new tradition in the life of the university. As each year, we will gather to celebrate the beginning of a new academic journey for new members of the Thoroughbred family. This event marks the beginning of the journey, of your journey into higher education. In a few school years, which is 4 years, you will all assemble again to celebrate your graduation from this great institution. We offer you our best wishes for your success beginning today. The genius of this institution that you've chosen is that we seek not to garner men and women from the pool of perfection, because the perfect student cannot be taught. Indeed, these seats where you sit this evening have been filled with valedictorians and salutatorians for some of the best high schools in our nation. But here at this institution, the measure of a man or a woman is not determined by the level of his or her grades alone, but also by what is in the mind and on the heart. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the purpose for this new Thoroughbred Convocation, to cause you to pause, to reflect, and to ponder on your new journey in the pursuit of higher learning. Gentlemen, you're called to learn geometry, but also how to be a gentleman. Ladies, you are called to learn economics, but also how to be elegant. Each day that you walk on these sacred grounds, you are challenged to remember the ancestors, the leaders, and the alumni who have come before you. May your every action, your every word spoken, honor the legacy and their sacrifice. Now, I ask that all members of the class of 2017 please stand. President Sias, I present to you the class of 2017. They are fully prepared and are now entrusted to the care of the faculty, staff, and administration of Kentucky State University. May they achieve the standards of excellence to which they aspire.
Now, I know that we can give the class of 2017 a better round of applause than you gave them. You may be seated. Good evening, and thank you for responding. I'm Mary Evans Sias, president of Kentucky State University, and I'm here with my colleagues, alumni, and friends of this university to officially welcome you to the Kentucky State University Thoroughbred family, and it is that. Tonight I'm going to share a few important facts with you about your class, but before I do that, let me just take a few moments to recognize some special guests in the audience this evening. The chair of the Kentucky State University Board of Regents, Dr. Karen Bearden, is with us. There are also some other regents in the audience. The light is up here. Regent Leslie Thomas. If there are other regents that I can't see, please stand and be recognized. There's also the president of the okay, Regent Gita Davis. I couldn't see you. You stood. The president of the Kentucky National Alumni Association, Dr. George Moore. I would ask any other members of the National Alumni Association and alums of KSU to also stand and be recognized. Our deans, I saw Dean Oleka here. Deans and members of the faculty, if you're here, we're delighted to see you and thank you. Please stand. You heard from the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Thierstein. You've also heard from Dr. Esters. Any other members of the President's Cabinet, please stand and be recognized. Now, I'd like to especially thank the members of the staff for student success and enrollment management. I want to recognize them because this week is their planning, and Dr. Boyle, Ms. Faulkner, Dr. Gibson, Ms. Thomas, and everyone in this room, Ms. Williams and everyone else, congratulations on a job so far well done. Thank you. But one of the most important elements, and the people that are really behind the scenes and that will make the greatest difference with you, are our students. So student leaders, all stand and be recognized. You know, one of the greatest privileges I have is to serve at graduation time and to award the diplomas. So I can't wait until 2017 when you will be walking across that stage getting your degree. You're entering one of the best universities in this country, and I'm incredibly proud of the work that we do here. You'll find outstanding faculty and staff and students who will want to help you shape your lives and think about what you will do for the rest of your lives. And you need to understand that you must be prepared to change jobs 7 or 8 times. And what that means is you must be continuous learners. It will be critically important that you get up and go to class, that you listen to those that can tell you what you might do to make a difference, that you do community service. And remember, I'm going to always say it to you, two things. Choose your friends wisely, and remember, life has never been fair, never will be, so get over it if something happens to you, and get on with your life. You will find, if you're in nursing, that our pass scores are 95%, and in teacher education, 100%. And we have the person who started our nursing program clapping out in the audience, so she's excited. This convocation this evening marks a beginning. It will be the beginning of a wonderful time that you will spend in college and some of the best days of your life. And the ceremony tonight is intended to acquaint you with what opportunities lie ahead of you. The first year that you will be a thoroughbred, I can guarantee you, will be like no other. To give you a better appreciation of your fellow students, I'd like to share just a few characteristics of the class of 2017. There are a total of 670 first-time students to date, and that number continues to grow because we're still admitting. This includes first-time freshmen and first-time transfers only, 670. That number is up from this morning. There are 400 females and 270 males. Now, sometimes, about every other year, the class separates. We have more males some year. This is the year more females. So, the boys are clapping. Of the 670 students, 79 of you, more than 10%, are in the top 10% of your high school class. The highest ACT composite score among this class was a 34 out of a possible 36. This class, Mr. Rice, represents one of our best academically prepared classes in the past few years. The average high school cumulative GPA is 2.7, and the average composite ACT score is 19. The top 6 states from which you've come include Kentucky, Illinois, Michigan, yeah, it's okay, Ohio, Indiana, and to my surprise, Florida, yay! A total of 317 of you come from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and 54 of you are from right here in Frankfurt. So welcome. As president of this university, I can already tell you after reviewing some of your files that I'm impressed because you have the potential for greatness. I know you're going to accomplish great things, and I know you will always remember wherever you go that you represent this institution. And let me tell you, there's no place in Frankfurt that you will go that people won't know that you're KSU Thoroughbreds. So think about what comes out of your mouth, and think about your actions, and think about the service you can give to this community. And please hold high at all times the standard of excellence that this institution embraces. K-State truly will be an unforgettable experience for you. So before I take my seat, let me remind you that we are committed to service here, and you will be asked to commit to community service. There will be many activities sponsored by this university, and I want you also to remember, encourage your civic responsibility. Vote here or vote at home, but always remember to vote. And I encourage you to get to know at least 1 or 2 faculty members extremely well. We want to be able to write letters of recommendation for you that won't require us saying, "Where are your resumes?" and looking at those resumes, because we will know you so well that we know what you do extraordinarily well. I want to thank you for choosing Kentucky State University. And now, I'd like to ask you to stand for the singing of the Negro National Anthem by an ensemble of Kentucky State University students. Please welcome them, and welcome to Kentucky State University, home of the mighty Thoroughbreds.
You may be seated. Good evening. I'm Antonia Boyle. I serve as the Assistant Vice President for Enrollment Services into the class of 2017. And everyone, welcome. Mr. Coleman Eldridge III, in December 2007, was appointed as the Executive Assistant to the Governor, the 61st Governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Steve Beshear, at 26 years old. The youngest person appointed to the senior staff. He is responsible for the day-to-day operation of the Office of the Governor. He manages over 100 member staff, children's health insurance, and others within the governor's portfolio. I was told that I'm allowed to do the basketball entrance for Mr. Coleman Eldridge III, and I'll attempt to do just that. From Cynthiana, Kentucky, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree in History with a minor in education from Transylvania University, he went on and received both the Master of Public Administration from Eastern Kentucky University and a Master of Administration from Sullivan University. Coleman, his wife Victoria, sons Cole and Carter, and their four-legged daughter Annie, live in Lexington, Kentucky. At this time, Mr. Coleman Eldridge III, our keynote speaker. Mr. Eldridge. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Hello, Thoroughbreds. It is, I have never gotten that introduction before, and thank you. Mostly because I'm short, so I don't get basketball introductions, but I'll take it. Thank you so much for the invitation to join with you this evening. Dr. Sias, it is always a privilege and an honor to not only share a podium or a stage or a platform with you, but to be here on this campus. That your leadership is something that I believe in the history of this university, in the history of higher education in Kentucky, will go down in history as one of the greatest tenures of any president of any university in this Commonwealth. And so thank you for your friendship and your leadership. Absolutely. And Dr. Esters, thank you for the invitation to be here as well. And I don't know where Sabrina is, but go ahead, girl.
She's back there.
Go on. she sang the national anthem. I'm just singer to singer. I was sitting here like, all right, this is gonna be something. I'm not going to speak a long time because this moment is not about me, it's about you. And I am incredibly honored to share this moment with you because it was not terribly long ago. In fact, it was 10 years ago this year that I was sitting where you're sitting right down the road in Lexington at Transylvania University as a freshman, wondering what this experience was going to be like, but also understanding that my aspirations for what I wanted out of not only the college experience, but what I wanted out of my life. This was the moment that I had to speak truth to power. This was the moment where if I wanted to work for a governor, if I wanted to be, a lawyer or a governor or whatever, that I had to match that aspiration with the tools necessary to get me there. And I understood, sitting where you sit, how incredibly important this moment would be in my life. And so I am humbled to share this with you because, as has been said before and will be said throughout your freshman year at least, but really throughout your collegiate career, this is a journey, and this first step in this journey, this first day and this first step are so incredibly important to become the men and women that you want to be and who we need you to be. In thinking of what I wanted to kind of say today, and Dr. Sias kind of stole my speech, so it's great because we're just going to reinforce each other's message. But for me, it started with someone who you all have never met and someone that you have never heard of, and her name is Hattie Smith. Hattie Smith was my grandmother, and she was born in 1911 in San Antonio, Texas. She was born at a time where she did not have the right to vote, not only because she was African American, but because she was a woman. She only had a fourth grade education, yet in the limited time that we shared this earth, she was then and is now one of the most brilliant people that has ever walked into my life. For 50 years, my grandmother was a maid to one family who loved her dearly, but because of the times that they lived in, and probably because of their own prejudice, not only would not allow her to drive to work, but would not take her from home or back to their home, made her take public transportation. And so oftentimes she would share stories with me of how she would have to have their laundry on a bus and still had to sit in the back of that bus. But for all of that, my grandmother was one of the most dignified people that I have ever met in my life. She had a presence about her that when she walked into a room, she commanded the respect of anyone who was in that room. And the reason that I'm telling you about my grandmother is because for her, in her mind, college was never a thought. It was never a possibility. And I oftentimes got in trouble when I first started talking about my grandmother because even for my early success, I would always say, I don't believe that my grandmother ever saw this coming. And one day my mother, who you all never met, but when I tell this story, you all will probably have flashes of your own mothers, or my mother was sitting in the back of a room and listening, and it's always very frightening because she's my biggest critic. And she was sitting in the back of the room, and I'm telling this story, and all of a sudden I see her do this. And I thought, did I just say something? And so I keep going, and she's like, mm-hmm. And then she just gets up and walks out. I'm like, I'm not going to want to hear what the conversation, whatever I just said, I'm not going to want to know what this conversation is going to be like. And she said, we leave, and I said, Mom, what was that about? Everything okay? And she said, you sat there and lied? And you lied about your grandma? You going to hell. And she said a couple other words, but I'm not going there tonight. And I said, well, what did I lie about? And she said, your grandmother always saw this. Now, she hated politics. She hated politicians. She probably would want you to do something else with your life, but she always saw you and your sister and your cousins being successful. And the reason was because of those experiences, she knew that there had to be something better. She knew that if she pressed us harder to read more, if she instilled in all of us the notion that we did not have a choice of how we carried ourselves, that we were always, even at 5 and 6 and 7, had to carry ourselves with a dignity that we did not understand, but she understood how the world saw us. She always anticipated that this moment would come. And that's why she worked so hard. That's why she endured the atrocities of segregation and Jim Crow with that dignity, because she always saw a better day for not only her children, but her grandchildren. And whether you realize it or not, sitting in these seats today, whatever your skin color, your gender, your socioeconomic status, whatever road that you took to be at this moment, you are all the inheritors of my grandmother's dream and your grandparents' dreams. And so when Dr. Sias said you have an obligation to show up to class, you have an obligation to show up to class not only because of the road that was paved to get you to this moment, but because of the world and how it will see you. Says that you first have to have a dignity about yourself. You first have to have an expectation for yourself that you will be better than even you give yourselves credit for at this moment. Now, how will the world see you? My father committed suicide when I was 3. My mother became a 28-year-old widow. And that moment had a devastating effect on our family, because by the time we paid off all the creditors and everything like that, we went from having a very upper middle class life to literally living for a year in our Volvo station wagon. But for all of that, my mother still made sure that we read every night and that we were prepared to walk in the door for school every day. Very interesting thing happened when we moved to Kentucky. I went to a school called Centerville Elementary in Bourbon County, and I had a teacher whose name was Mrs. Mathis. I will never forget this woman as long as I live. Mrs. Mathis was about 73 and did not like me at all. But the good thing for her was I didn't like her either. And I couldn't tell why I didn't like her, but my little 9-year-old self knew there was something about her that just required me to be a thorn in her side. And I was. Mrs. Mathis sent home a letter to my mother. And if you were ever to come to my house, you have an open invitation, you would find this letter, because I have kept it and I have framed it, and it has literally gone everywhere with me. And I've committed the letter to memory. The letter was very short and it was very sweet, but what the letter said was this: Dear Mrs. Eldridge, Coleman is such a pleasure to have in my class. Now, she was lying. I was not a pleasure to have in her class. But she was buttering up my mother for what came next. Coleman is a pleasure to have in my class, but I am concerned by the fact that I believe you are doing his homework. Coleman does not read well. Coleman does not speak well. And what he is turning in is not what he is doing in my classroom. Now, I did not stay at Centerville Elementary School much longer. It was probably 2 more weeks. But the reason I keep that letter is because it reminded me that as the only little brown boy in that class, she had an expectation for what my educational attainment should be. And when I surpassed that, it confounded her. As a poor person, she had an expectation for how I was supposed to walk into a classroom and how I was supposed to communicate. And simply because my clothes did not match that of the rest of my classmates, she had an expectation for how I was supposed to interact with the rest of the world. What she did not understand was, yes, we lived in a car, and yes, we lived in the Evergreen Motel, but every Sunday my mother made me watch 60 Minutes. So my vocabulary was actually pretty good. My understanding of the broader world was actually better than probably most of the grown folks in the school. But she saw me a certain way and she judged me a certain way. There are statistics about each and every one of you, based on ethnicity, based on gender, based on socioeconomic status. Almost all of those statistics say that you should not be sitting where you're sitting today, but look at you. The question is what you choose to do with this moment, what you choose to do with the charge of making liars out of those statistics. In the introduction that was given, it said that I was 26 when I was appointed to become the governor's executive assistant. That is true. That made me the youngest executive assistant to a governor in the history of this state, made me the first African American. And actually, I'm still the youngest executive assistant to the governor in any state, 6 years going. And I go to governors' meetings at the National Governors Association, the Democratic Governors Association meeting. I'm sitting there with my boss, and it confounds people. That not only do I have the job now, but that in a lot of ways I am the senior staff member sitting at the table, because now we're in our second term. How the world sees you is important, yes, but the image you project back is even more important. So young women, the world will see you a certain way and judge you a certain way, but it is your obligation to walk with dignity. It is your obligation that when folks try to make it seem like you have to be a certain way, a certain image, you have to do certain things, that you say, that is not my purpose here. It's not my purpose at this university. It is not my purpose in life. Young men, it is your responsibility to walk with dignity, to walk with respect, not only for yourselves, but for these young women. Now, they will tell you that chivalry is dead and that it does not make sense for you to open up a door. It does not make sense for you to stand up when a woman gets up from a table or leaves a table. But I will tell you, they actually appreciate that. Just gonna throw that out there. And being as though y'all were clapping because you're outnumbered, you may just... Quick story, how I married up, because I did marry up. I mean, my wife, you would not believe I married her if we were standing next to each other, but I got the ring to prove it. We were sitting at Eastern Kentucky University. I was studying, and she came and she asked if she could sit at the table. And I said, well, sure. There was no one else sitting at the table. And so she sat down and I got up and she said, what are you doing? Are you leaving? And I said, no, it's just how my mom raised me. And she thought, as she tells the story, she thought, oh, he's odd. And she was right. I am pretty odd. But you know what? 10 years later, she understands that it wasn't an act, that I value her for more than her looks, more than anything. I value her for what she has given me. Just throwing this out, gentlemen. Just trying to make your road a little easier. But ladies, oh wait, you ain't off the hook. I'm sorry. Let me just tell you, you don't have to date the football player or the basketball player. Now, hold on, gentlemen, hold on. That's all right too. But if that's all you see, you're gonna miss out on the future governor of this state. You're going to miss out on the lawyers and the doctors and the educators. You're going to miss out on the young men who carry themselves with a dignity that may not be flashy the way that society tells you it should be, but will treat you with the respect and the love and the dedication that you deserve. Because when I saw these men walk in, they all walked in with their heads high. They all walked in with a sense of dignity that they understand the importance of where they are and they are here to do business. Now, that doesn't mean they will not take you out on a date. It does not mean they will not show you a good time. It does not mean that they will not be everything that you need. But these men, these young men, are men. They are not boys being men, they are men. You have to know the difference. Did I do all right by you? All right. So this is where I'm going to end. That you have been given an extraordinary opportunity to be here at this historic university, to see a vision for your life that maybe you did not see before, but in this moment you should know that, in the words of one of our greatest native sons, Muhammad Ali, impossible is nothing. I have to tell you this story, not that I'm name dropping, but I'm about to. Just throwing that out there right now. So because of my role in the Democratic Party and my role in the governor's office, I got a great invitation to go to the inauguration of President Obama. And I was curious as to where I was going to sit, because why not be curious as to where you're going to sit and who you're going to sit next to? And I did not think I was, anybody real important. And so my wife and I are sitting there, and we're sitting next to some senators and to some other governor staff and some folks that we knew from the campaign. And then who walks in and sits right in front of us but Sean Carter? For those of you who do not know, Jay-Z. So I'm like, Victoria? This just got real interesting. To which she said, please don't act a fool. Just, please, I know you're both born on December 4th. I know you think y'all got some kind of bromance going on, but he does not know you. And so we sat there and we talked, and I was like, you actually, this is gonna be good, all right. So we talk, and then he says, well, we'll see you at the ball, at the president's ball. And I'm like, oh, you gonna be looking for us at the president's ball? Now, in my mind, I thought he's just being nice. That was good. That was good for me. Like, Jay-Z feels the need to be just nice to me. That's fine. But he actually did find us at the president's ball. And he said, I've got a question to ask you, because I was talking to some folks who know you, so I need to ask you what it is you're going to do in your life. Really, Hove? You want to have this conversation? Fine. All right. Well, since you asked, you're a billionaire, so I'm going to be governor of Kentucky. I did not flinch when I answered that question. And he said, what? And you know how Jay said, what? I said, I'm going to be governor of Kentucky. And he said, you're serious? And I said, yes, I've answered that twice. Yes, that's pretty much the plan. And he said, come here. And we sat down, and he said, you did not flinch when you answered that question. I did not flinch when people asked me what I wanted to do, so that's how I know that you're serious. That's how I know you will do what you say you will do. Do not flinch in this moment. It does not matter right now what you think you will be. My degree is in education. I obviously am not in the classroom right now. But do not flinch in the moment of knowing that you will make it from this moment across the stage and get your diploma. And that when you get that diploma, it will not be the last diploma that you get. Do not flinch in understanding that you've got a set of values that you're coming into this university with, and you will be challenged, and people will try to get you to divert off that course, but do not flinch in staying true to that value set. That yes, it may be easier at times to cheat than to work hard, but you have to have the resolve to work hard. It might be easier to try to take the easy road, but you have to have the value set to not flinch and instead hunker down and do the hard work, because this moment will define the rest of your life. Because if getting out of K-State easy is how you do it, then you will be looking at how to make an easy road for the rest of your life, and you will be sorely disappointed. Do not flinch when you get in groupthink and it becomes easy to make fun of people because of disabilities, or make fun of people because they don't look a certain way or they don't act a certain way. I got beat up almost every day almost every day when I was in high school because I was the smart one. Almost every day. I wasn't always this skinny, by the way. So they beat up like a 300-pound kid every day. That's all right. Don't, look, hello? I mean, look, I went back to my high school reunion. I'm doing pretty well. But that's the point, is that people will vilify you just because you take your education seriously. But those same people who will vilify you are the same people who 10 and 15 and 20 years from now will have their hand out. And they'll be looking for you for that hand up. That's what this moment is about. So I'm incredibly humbled to see you at the beginning of this journey. I'm incredibly humbled by the fact that you've chosen to come to one of this nation's most historic universities to begin that journey. I'm humbled by the fact that so many of you, apparently, have come from out of state to do that. Welcome. But more importantly, your other governors are going to hate when I say this, but I don't care. I'm here. Stay here, because we need you in this state. We need you. We need your brain power. We need your energy. We need you. And the last thing I will say is this. Our generation, and we are of similar generations, we are all millennials in this. We are a microwave generation. I say this all the time, especially to my staff. We have always grown up getting everything instantly. You want a meal? Put it in the microwave. You don't like what's on this channel? There are 476 other ones. But life is not a microwave generation moment. It is a journey. Your education is not a microwave moment, it is a journey. You may have been the smartest person in your graduating class, but you are among equals here. The greatest thing that ever happened to me in my entire collegiate career was when Dr. Don Doogie, I will never forget his name, called me lazy. Because he was right. He gave me an F on every paper I turned in the first semester I was in college. And he was right. They were good papers, they were just lazy papers. Truth be told, most of them maybe had seen iterations from my senior year. I can tell that now. I'm far removed from it. Don't do that. They know. They know. Don't do it. I'm just telling you now. Don't do it. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. Do not shortchange yourself. This is not about who gets finished the fastest. It's about doing it the right way and knowing that when you graduate, you left everything on the field, everything at the table, everything that you could give, you gave. And if you do that, this world is limitless. My prayer for you is that these next 4 years will humble your egos, will strengthen your convictions, and will give you every asset that you need to shape the future that you inherit. God bless you. Thank you for letting me be here today.
Mr. Eldridge, can you come back, please?
Yes, ma'am.
On behalf...
I did not have a green tie, by the way. My 2-year-old threw up on it, so this is what you get. I knew what the colors were, by the way.
Well, on behalf of Kentucky State University and our Thoroughbred family, I hereby proclaim you an honorary KSU Thoroughbred today. We thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to impart wisdom with our students, and we would like to ask you to accept this Thoroughbred statue.
Oh my gosh.
And KSU t-shirt and a green and gold tie.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So very much.
At this time, I would like to present to you the KSU Student Government Association President, Mr. Julian Jeter Davis, and Miss KSU Kathleen Spikes Bias to give the student charge. Welcome them with me at this time.
Good evening, new thoroughbreds. Good evening, old thoroughbreds. Hey, how are y'all? Okay. Well, I'm going to do one more introduction, then I'm going to stop introducing myself to you guys. All right, cool. My name is Julian Jeter Davis. I am the Student Government Association President for the 2013-2014 school year. I'm here today to let you all know about the importance of what you're going through right now. I don't know if you really recognize, but you guys are a really special group. This year is going to be a big year. It's going to be a lot of changes. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs, mostly ups. If you guys, if you get to know me, you'll know there's going to be lots of ups in the school year, because it's my last year, my senior year. Just want to throw that out there. Hey, any graduating seniors in the house? Hey. Okay. Now, as I get into my speech, I have a few things that I just want to say to you all. The first thing is that this is a long journey, but it will fly by. So take advantage of it. Before I go into my speech, I have to just tell everybody that when I say turn up, that doesn't mean what a lot of other people think is turn up. I mean turn up like, turn up in the books, turn up, in your studies, turn up like that. Turn up in everything you do. And I'm dead serious. You'll hear me say this all day long. I hope I don't get a sanction, because that's not what I mean when I mean turn up. Okay. But seriously, turn up in everything you do. Do everything to the fullest, because this experience is very short. You won't get this again. Another thing is get involved. There's a lot of different organizations on our campus. There's lots of different ways that your voice can be heard, that you can get out what you want to do. If you have a hobby, there's an organization for that. If there is not an organization for what you want to do, then start it. Be ambitious, be innovative, be the person to start this new club that we don't have on our campus that you think we need. Another thing is take advantage of the opportunities. Take advantage of the times when a speaker comes, someone who is assistant to the governor. Take advantage of times when we have a guest company on the yard giving out different things, and they're looking for people for internships and jobs and scholarships and things like that. Take advantage of those things, because like I said, this is a very short journey. You don't want to pass it up. The next thing is network your life away. So that means while you're here, get to know everybody that you can. You might think that you don't like somebody because you saw them, and you don't like the shoes that they have on because you like a different type of shoe because you're from Chicago and they're from Detroit. And when you got here, you heard that there was beef. None of that. You all never know. You never know who you might need in the future. You never know who might be your best friend, who might be your husband, your wife. I don't know, because I ain't graduated yet. But, but I'm willing to go out on a limb and meet new people, because I just never know who might be that long-time friend, Don't be afraid to step out of your dorm room. That goes back to the networking thing. Just get out on the yard. If I come to I'm going to be coming to your dorm, right? So if I come to your dorm in Combs, Hunter, the Halls, and I make an announcement and I say there's something going on in the yard, come out to the yard. There's going to be a lot of people out there, lots of things to do. It's going to be very festive. I'm not going to go in detail about that. I'm just going to go on. The last thing that I would like to say, to piggyback off what I just said, do not get caught up in the college life, okay? Like I said, this is going to be a short journey. You are going to find people. You are going to build relationships. You are going to have ups and downs. But don't let that consume you. Don't skip class because you're mad at your friend for this and that. And don't start fighting because you thought somebody stole your fruit snacks out your trunk because, no. We too grown for all that. Okay, guys? So make sure that we get rid of these little things that go on in college life. You guys are starting fresh. It can be a great experience if you take advantage of it. Don't let the social life consume you. I think I just pretty much talked about that. And the last thing is, this is only a stepping stone for each of your very long and prosperous lives. So treat it as such. So when you are in class, think of it as, I'm not just here listening to this lady who can barely speak English. I'm in here because I know this is a step. I need this class. I need this degree for the next step. You know, me, for instance, I'm just going to tell y'all about me, okay? I graduate in May. And when I graduate in May, I'm going to walk across the stage and I'm going to be happy. I'm going to have fun. I'm trying to use all different types of terms other than but not on the stage, no. But once I get done with those 2 or 3 days of rejoicing, then I'm going to get on with my life. I'm going to keep trying to move forward because I think that's what everything is about, this here college experience. So, Thoroughbreds, I would charge to you to have a great experience here. If you need anything, please come to me and have a great evening.
Good evening, everyone. Y'all look nice. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. On behalf of myself and Mr. Kentucky State University, we are delighted to welcome you to the 2013-2014 academic year. We hope you're as fired up as we are about your freshman year of college. And a lot of things that I'm going to reiterate what Mr. President said, we're coming from the same point of view, a student leader point of view. What an experience this first year will be for you. I've grown to love this university more than I could have imagined, and if you're working the right path, you will too. First, I want you all to remember that you are a student first. You're going to hear that a million times before you graduate, but the further you go along in your classes, the further you'll realize that that is honestly the truth. We are here to learn, to gather skills and experiences that will help us prosper in our professional and personal lives after college. Take your classes seriously. Once you've handled all the business, you'll be sure to reap the benefits. Moreover, I encourage you to, again, get involved. I'm sure you heard the phrase, life is what you make it, and that goes for your life here at Kentucky State as well. There are an array of experiences and clubs and athletic teams, organizations of all kinds, from collegiate, of all kinds. I apologize, guys. Collegiate 100, KSU Girls Rock, Student Ambassadors, the Student Government Association, not to mention clubs and activities like the Royal Court, the Bread Nation Spirit Club, Dance Extravaganza. There's just so much to do. You just have to believe in yourself and go for it. And once you find your niche, your time here will be all the more better. Finally, I want to remind you all that you have a friends and family within your student leaders. Never hesitate to ask us anything. We've all been there. Whether you're feeling homesick or having trouble with classes, you want to start something new on campus, or you just want to talk to somebody or hang out with somebody on the yard, we are here for you. So remember, you're a student first. Get involved, and you're among family. And once again, on behalf of myself and Mr. Kentucky State University, thank you and have a great year.
Now we will have a charge from Dr. George Moore, the Alumni Association President.
Good evening, class of 2017. I'm proud of you. You are dear to me because 50 years ago, give a few more days, I was a freshman and I entered into Kentucky State University. I am a proud alumnus of this great institution and a member of the class of 1967. So in 4 more years, when you will be graduating, I will be celebrating my 50th year as an alumnus of Kentucky State University. Let me say to you how proud the many alumni of this institution are that you have chosen to become a member of the Thoroughbred family. Please know that we stand ready to support you in your academic success by first contributing to this institution financially and giving of our time. Moreover, we stand ready to receive you, and I'm going to repeat this maybe twice, when you graduate in no more than 4 years. I'm repeat it again. We stand proud, ready to receive you when you graduate in 4 years or less. As a proud alumnus, I offer 3 important points of advice to you. First, finish what you start. Today, you start on a journey that will not always be easy. When you get a chance, read the poem by Robert Frost, The Road Less Traveled. The road less traveled, the road that you chose to come to Kentucky State University. Many other people didn't come here because we are a diamond in the rough. We are a jewel, one of the best known, well-known historical black colleges and universities. And I thank you for coming here. However, remember to remain focused, keep the faith, and you will succeed. There are thousands of alumni who have done it. If we can do it, then you can too. My second point of advice is to remember to cherish the time in your life. In a few years, you will look back on them as some of the most exciting years of your life. You will make friends for the life right here on this campus. My final point of advice is to always represent your family well. Be proud to wear the green and the gold. Wherever you go in this town, state, or nation, you will wear the name KSU. Please make us proud of you. Again, congratulations, and to God be the glory for the things that He will do through you as you go onward and upward. Again, congratulations for coming to Kentucky State University.
Thank you, Dr. Moore, for that very inspiring charge. Greatness is more than potential. It is the execution of that potential. Beyond the raw talent, you need the appropriate training. You need the discipline. You need the inspiration. You need the drive. Good evening, men and women of excellence. I am Jacqueline Faulkner, Assistant Vice President of Retention Management and Advising Services. Members of the class of 2017, please stand to your feet for the reciting of the Thoroughbred Creed, written by KSU family members Ms. Leslie Thomas and Mr. Reginald Davis. New thoroughbreds, please repeat after me. As a true thoroughbred, I will practice personal and academic integrity. I will respect the dignity, rights, and property of all persons. I will discourage bigotry while striving to learn from differences in people
ideas, and opinions. In thought, word, and deed, I will support excellence in the learning, growth, and the development of others. Allegiance to these ideals requires each thoroughbred to refrain from and discourage behaviors which threaten the freedom and respect every individual deserves. Daily, I will practice responsibility, leadership, and service to my community, and project the best image of myself and my campus. It is now my pleasure to lead our penning ritual. Each of you will receive a Kelly Green lapel pin with gold lettering. For the men, your pen has the wording, Men of Excellence, Kentucky State University. For the ladies, your pen has the wording, Women of Excellence, Kentucky State University. These pens symbolize our high expectations for each of you. You are called this day to understand that academic excellence is not only an expectation, but a responsibility that you must each uphold. It is the standard by which you will be upheld at this institution, both inside and outside the classroom. You are hereby forewarned that we will make no apology and accept no excuses for anything less than your best. We expect that you will be excellent in speech, excellent in discipline, excellent in attire. In fact, the attire that you have on tonight is what we call thoroughbred excellent attire. And this is the attire that will be expected of you at each Men and Women of Excellence Convocation this academic year. You will receive those dates at your workshop tomorrow at 3 p.m. As you are penned, we will have a special music medley performed by our student ensemble.
Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping high, so high. Your daddy's rich and the mother's good looking. So hush, baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings, gonna rise up singing, rise up singing, and you will spread your wings, take up to the sky, take to the sky. Until that morning, there is nothing can harm you. And Daddy standing by with Mommy and Daddy. Jesus is the mountain. I know that Jesus is the mountain. I know that Jesus is the mountain. And the chilly winds won't blow. I'm gonna hide behind the mountain. I'm gonna hide behind the mountain. I'm gonna hide behind the mountain. When the chilly winds won't blow. When the chilly winds won't blow. Right behind that mountain, chilly winds won't blow, and the mountain is Jesus. Chilly winds won't blow.